We've already heard this morning from the Chief Minister of Gibraltar talking about the EU's desire to link Brexit with Spanish involvement in Gibraltar's future. Let's ask the Defence Secretary, Michael Fallon, about that. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Eddie.
Now, we've established the Chief Minister was lobbying hard on this, didn't get Gibraltar mentioned somehow in Theresa May's letter. Why not?
Well, let me just pick up on that. The letter was about notification, the formal notification that we're leaving, and about the process of negotiation, how we want the talks to be handled. But the letter, of course, referred to the Brexit white paper, and Gibraltar is firmly in that white paper. I think you'll find 8 separate references to Gibraltar in the white paper, and all the different issues that we've got to deal with are set out in that white paper, whether it's the position of the City of London or fisheries policy, Gibraltar and everything else.
But it's odd, though, isn't it? I mean, in this 2,200 words, Theresa May managed to the consternation of some people, link trade and security, but wasn't able to mention Gibraltar by name.
Well, first of all, it's very important to link trade and security, because what we're now looking for is a deep and special partnership that covers both economic and security cooperation.
So you're proud of that link?
Those two things go together.
You're proud of that link?
Absolutely. It's very important that we go on committed to the security of the continent. This is the week, Eddie. We send 800 troops to Estonia as part of our NATO commitment. We're sending troops to Poland. We're sending RAF Typhoons down to Romania. We're stepping up our commitment to the security of the continent because it remains our continent. And, you know, this is a very uncertain time for Europe, and it is right that we should be playing our part in that. So these two things go together.
So are you happy for people to conclude, as many people did, that the British government's view is that if there's no deal, the EU, Europe, would be less secure?
We'd all, I think, be worse off if there wasn't a deal. We're expecting to have a deal. But obviously we cooperate with Europe on security, not just through NATO. We cooperate through our work our police forces do, our security agencies do, through our judicial system. Some of that is inside the European treaties, some of it is outside, but obviously the bits that are inside the European treaties, we need to make sure that that cooperation continues, because Europe faces threats, not just from Russian aggression, but as we've seen in recent weeks, from terrorism as well.
And on Russia, before the referendum, you were a Remainer, of course, and you said a vote to leave would be payday for Putin. And now, according to the Sunday Telegraph, cabinet ministers have secretly agreed to exploit EU fears over Putin. How much of that is true?
Well, look, the letter refers to our ambition to have a completely new partnership with Europe on the economic side, but also on the security side.
Yeah, but the Telegraph says, it quotes you directly, the EU needs our capabilities and the UK had high cards to play on security. Are you sabre-rattling about Putin?
Well, this isn't a bargaining process. We happen to have...
Isn't it?
No, we happen to have, because we have the biggest defence budget in Europe. We've got the biggest navy in Europe. I'm not going to get into what happened at what meeting, but
you said it.
It is a fact. It is a fact that we have the biggest defence budget in Europe. We're a leading player inside NATO. That's why we're deploying troops this week to help protect the eastern flank of NATO. And the other European countries, of course, will want us to continue to do that.
I want to talk about the size of the defence budget in just a second, but before we leave Gibraltar, are you going to take it off the table?
Well, it's interesting, as the Chief Minister pointed out to you earlier this morning, that Spain is not claiming sovereignty over Gibraltar in that draft guideline that the EU published. And we are very clear that there cannot be a change in the status and sovereignty of Gibraltar unless the people of Gibraltar agree to it. And they don't, and they clearly don't. And so that is not going to happen. Gibraltar is going to be involved in these negotiations. Again, the Chief Minister made that clear. He's going to be involved throughout. And there will, in the end, of course, be an agreement that fully respects the position of Gibraltar.
The Conservative manifesto on Gibraltar mentions it in exactly the same sentence as the Falkland Islands. How far is the United Kingdom prepared to go to look after Gibraltar's interests?
Oh, we're going to look after Gibraltar. Gibraltar's
How
going to
far?
be, well, Gibraltar's going to be protected all the way, because the sovereignty of Gibraltar cannot be changed without the agreement of the people of Gibraltar. They've made it very clear they do not want to live under Spanish rule, and it's interesting, I think, in the draft guidelines from the EU that Spain is not saying that the whole thing is subject to the transfer of sovereignty.